Welcome to the Thursday show. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
Hello, everybody from the grainy south of the world and the wastelands.
And Allan Pajama Pants. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm not in witness protection.
No. It's all right.
This
Gotta
is
keep
the
my head
Thursday
down.
show on the Frontline Gaming Network, where we're going to talk about the upcoming events this weekend. We're going to talk about the list you're going to see. We're going to talk about the list we hope to win, or at least we expect to win. We're going to talk about maybe some things that are flying under the radar that might make an impact this weekend. I'm excited. We're going to talk about specifically two events happening around the world. The first one we're going to be talking about is the SN Gibraltar's GT, put on by some fabulous folks, fabulous terrain, in a scenic location. I'm excited. What do you guys know about this? What do you think about this?
I'm a big fan of these guys and what they do. They've carved themselves out a really special niche in the community where they have these premium invite-only events where they just put on like one of the best shows you'll ever be, one of the best tournaments you'll ever attend. I've heard people firsthand who've gone to their things and just been like, I can't wait to go back. It's really become like an event, a thing you look forward to every year, where they're getting an invite to an SN Gibraltar event. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting event. 64 players, and there's some interesting things to talk about here. But Allan, what are your thoughts, brother?
I was just curious, is this an invite, this one, or is this one open?
I don't believe this is an invite one. I think they have their super flagship invite ones, which are capped at, I think, at like 30, 40 players. This isn't open, but they're still playing on that super beautiful, gorgeous tables. I love them.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing, because I think I applied to the invite in October.
Yeah.
And I was turned down.
Dude.
Maybe soon you can get over there. We'll put it in your word for you.
My application was like, I do really well at Adepticon with painting and displays and stuff, and I will literally make any army you want in any way. And they were like, nah, we're good.
Nah, bro.
Sounds a little too hungry. Maybe this guy needs to get some reps in.
So for me and us in Australia, we get this decision where, like, guys guys who play WTC in Australia, we're like, I can go to SN or I can go to WTC. And you can't usually afford to do both, because that's like a $12,000, $15,000 commitment to try and do both. And what are you going to do? You're going to fly to freaking Gibraltar and back just for a weekend? No. That's just stupid.
We do what we do for the game, right? So let's go down to some quick and dirty stats here. We got 9 Drakari players, 5 Admech, 1 Necron, 1 Sister, 5 Dark Angels, 6 Death Guard, 4 Custodes, 22 different Space Marines. Over a third of the field are Space Marines.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that 64 players and 22 of those 64 are taking some version of the Emperor's favorite boys. But it's interesting to see the breakdown. There's a lot of different ones here. There's some Ultramarines, there's some Crimson Fists, quite a few Iron Hands, which I thought was quite interesting. I had a look at those lists and I didn't see anything that slapped me in the face as overtly popping out. But where it gets interesting is they still have that Drakari pall hanging over the crowd. In the last week, we saw for the first time Admech being the most prevalent faction at an event, but this one still holds true. Drakari still holding the top spot there by a fair margin. Like, neck one down is like the Death Guard at 6, Admech at 5, and Dark Angels at 5. So there's still a bit of a percentage difference there.
Yeah, I like the shakeup. Do we know if are they requiring like a higher than normal painting standards because of how everything else is, or is that only the invitational event? This is pretty much open. I'm not sure.
I think this is pretty much open, is my assumption. I can't actually, I shouldn't speak out of turn. I don't know that for sure. But my assumption is that they don't have the crazy extreme hobby requirements that they usually do, but I do expect them to have higher than you would expect elsewhere.
Yeah, when I looked over the lists, I was under the impression that it was more of a little bit more of a casual event, not as a high competitive event. And that's just the impression I got, maybe a little bit more hobby focused than other events with obviously a focus on competitiveness. And then I got to a certain list and I was like, oh, this guy, he didn't get the memo. Like, this guy, he didn't get the email. He wasn't on it.
He wasn't pumping those brakes when he was writing his list. What is interesting is I think that this is actually quite indicative of the culture that exists in Gibraltar. It really is a very hobby focused because of the prevalence of SN, the influence that they have and they've had over years. A lot of people don't chase them out of there. They play what they love. They play their 1 or 2 factions. They build extremely beautiful, gorgeous display boards and tables and armies. And so, but when you see the borders open up, it's interesting to see if people adopt or don't lean into that kind of concept, that kind of culture. And there are a couple lists there who did not get that memo whatsoever.
Yeah, when I was reading them, I got to a point where I saw that meme of all the dead seals, like just cut up on ice cubes. just like
Oh, dear
hundreds
me.
of dead seals, just like dying bloody, and like there's just
Yeah.
it's
So
just murdering them.
you do get these events out in the wilderness, especially when you've had guys, ultra competitive guys, just chomping at the bit, waiting to get back into that bigger ocean out of those small ponds. There are a couple of players here who have represented their country at WTC level events. There's a couple of players here who are very high in the rankings. There's WTC winners here, and these guys are playing lists, and I don't think they're going to be stopped. I think it's one of 3 people who are going to take this out. Do you want to break down any of those lists, or Paul, have you got anything to add?
No, let's look at the list. And I also want to emphasize the fact that even though that the people may be taking what we consider, or at least some lists that are non-template, you still play the missions, you still score points, and you still proceed through the tournament. And there are ways to excel, even with maybe some unconventional list choices.
Well, yeah, so first up, we actually have one of those, and this is the top-ranked gentleman in attendance. That isn't all that indicative of where the strength lies, but this is a guy who's been plugging away, getting the reps in, getting the events and the numbers up. His name is Louis Chichon. He's the second-ranked gentleman in all of Europe right now, and he's playing Chaos. Now, this is a pretty spicy one. We'll get some hot takes from Allan, but it starts off with a Slanesh battalion. He has a Keeper of Secrets. He has Salaxi Hellbane and Celesk. Then he has a big unit of Demonettes, and 3 units of 2 Fiends, and then there's a patrol detachment. This one of another Keeper of Secrets, and another unit of Demonettes. So this is Monster Mash Slanesh, run at you, gun at you, get stuck in really quick.
Look at those Fiends making an appearance. So I want to talk about the Fiends have the ability to basically lock people right where they stay, and they're super fast. I mean, is that a secret weapon in this event, or any event, really?
Allan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Fiends for 40 points. I think they're situational. I do think locking things in is great, but the list is just going to have a hard time closing the field against some of the armies that could be there. Well, we know some armies that are there. It's gonna be impossible to really close that field, and even if you do lock some things in, they really have a lot of ways around it.
I think that's one of the benefits of some beautiful and gorgeous terrain. Like there's some terrain on this table that I think is going to allow some of these movement techniques and these fast moving units that can hug low profiles, that can get in there and sneak around things and potentially cause a lot of disruption.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen a lot of the SN tables. These are things that I scroll through for my own hobby inspiration for tables that I want to see at events. And look, some of them have massive line of sight blockers in the middle, which is really going to help this army in a lot of ways. It's going to help them get out of their deployment zone, position up, and then sling in from turn 2 onwards. Because what you don't want to do is have your hand forced the top of turn 1 to go or not go. You want to be able to pick your battles a little bit, especially versus some of the more punitive, top meta armies out there. There's a couple of AdMech armies here, which we are going to dodge. We're going to talk about in passing only as archetypes, because that's the last thing people want is for us to spend 20 minutes talking about some of this broke ass things in the meta at the moment. I think this is going to do, when it does well, it's going to do really well. It's going to smash you to bits, and when it's not going to do well, you're going to get 2 turns and have no army left.
Well, I want to talk about this fact that there are 3 Keeper of Secrets in the list, and there are 2 special characters that are functionally pretty stout is the way that they are, and so they're going to distract folks. If those keepers hug the table, hang on to the table longer than you expect them to, which is a slight bit of luck, all those little things that we just talked about are going to be able to get into the mix.
Allan, do you think keepers are still holding their place as one of the linchpin chaos units that they have available to them?
Yeah, I think they're amazing in Age of Sigmar. They're really fun. This would be a very thematic and very competitive army in Age of Sigmar. Very, very good.
You are a savage beyond
I think
measure.
it'd be really fun. I'm telling you. I mean, not only would it look beautiful there, but it would be a terrific time in a game that has very little to no. Well, I mean, they got a lot of shooting now, but not as sufficient enough to kill this army in that game. In 40K, the keepers die pretty quick now. I think firepower and codex creep has gotten to a point where it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad what a AdMech chicken can do.
Well, we've got comments in the chat about how Custodes, do very well because they're able to kind of hide in things. And I think this army, outside of the keepers, has the ability to kind of maneuver, maneuvering, moving with a purpose is what this army can do, which is what maneuvering is.
Oh, it does. I mean, he built the army really well. It is maneuverable. The difference between this and Custodes, though, is Custodes can survive at range for a significant period of time. You can't really shoot Custodes dead. This can get shot dead and die in close combat now.
I'm saying you can't shoot what you can't see And I don't want to put out or not talk about the skill of the pilot. I mean, as Adam mentioned, this dude is high in the rank. He's obviously knows what he's doing. Taking this list, at least I would expect with intent. And I think that once you add up all those things, that this list can do really well.
Agreed. Now, gentlemen, there are two gentlemen coming through, two players coming to this event. I think one of these two gentlemen is going to win it. This is Adam's shoe-in, and this isn't going to be any surprises. We have Manny Cheema in attendance from Glasshammer and Malik Amin Rubio. Both these gentlemen are playing AdMech, and both at what I think are the two archetypes we're starting to see coalesce for AdMech builds. We're not going to go over these lists. Don't need to, because I can tell you exactly what they are in one sentence. Malik is playing 5 flyers. Manny's playing a horde. And Manny's horde is the most horde that I've seen so far. It's 140 infantry and then 3 units of 8 Cerberus raiders. That's the list. Then that plus buffing characters. That's the whole thing. And I'm of the opinion that list is going to be unbeatable at this event, and it's probably going to be unbeatable almost anywhere it goes.
That list messes with target priority. It has redundancy across the board. You can actually choke things. You could really there's secondaries that you can basically no-brainer pick with that type of thing, and that's that. A lot of lists are going to struggle getting through that many bodies, either because you run out of time with the round. The rounds, you just not enough rounds. You didn't bring enough bullets to deal with that kind of thing, or the buffs of the list support it and keep it to where minimize where you can only get a unit or two around. Who cares? You killed 40 folks. Congratulations. There's 100 more behind.
100 left. Yeah, exactly right.
It's going to be tough, but close combat armies are armies that can play the missions a little bit better. Although I really want to know at least what you guys' opinions are. But what can play the missions better than 140 objective secured infantry on the table? I don't know what else does. How do you disrupt that?
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't even really play the mission against that. That just it's going to kill you. You need to have an answer for those lists. Right now, I don't think there really is a concrete one for sure. I mean, there's obviously things we can talk about, right? We can talk about ignore cover, weaponry. We can talk about shooting out of line of sight at range. We can talk about things that have damage too. There's a lot of, mortal wound output is great. Anything that does, those 4 things and probably a mix of other things, that are, unique to certain armies could do some damage, maybe turn the tides. But, the idea of being able to play the mission and, survive, get your secondaries and, get that 45 and try to edge out, a 30 or better on the primary. It's just not going to happen because you won't have models. The army just moves up and picks up anything it looks at.
So when I look at this list, I see the full evolution. This is we used to have a Nido. I'll go to some Pokemon. We used to have Nidoran, and that was the 120 Plague Bearers. Now we have the Nido King. It's the 140 Rangers in Vanguard. It's literally the full evolution. It's the full evolution of that list, of that archetype.
Right now,
I don't care.
It's Frieza. This is Frieza final form.
If that's good. That's good too. Or Cell.
That is the analogy. This is Frieza final form.
It's Super Saiyan 5. Super Saiyan. It's Super Saiyan 4 from GT that never should have existed. That's what it is.
Yeah, I consider GT not a real show.
Exactly. Just
but
like
Super
this
AdMech
deck should be a real deck.
We're covering all
Super
the focus groups.
That's right. Yeah,
I love Super.
All the niches are covered. But this is like the final evolution of that horde, because that was the thing about the Plague Bears. They existed, they won the mission, but they didn't kill anything. These things exist, they play the mission, and they will rip your absolute throat out in a single turn. They can wipe you off the table. It's absolutely disgusting.
So what should people be stacking for this? I mean, we see some Drukhari that are still there. Is that kind of the answer, or is things like, or should we go back to like Gene Stealers and Hormagaunts and that kind of stuff? It's like what puts the fear in these types of lists?
Send an email to your local GW representative to make changes in legislation so that we can enjoy the game again. That is the solution. I kid you not. That is literally the solution.
The answer, I think, is a little bit more nuanced than that. But with this, it's aggressive. It's there, and it's going to be something that you see. And so, as we look to these events, like what should be people sleeving up, to y'all's TCG analogy, to handle these types of things, to prepare for it?
So the best way. So this is the way I find to you just got to make them not want to push up the board. That's it. And but that doesn't get you points. That just stops them from getting points. You're still back at the stalemate. If you ever come out from your secure pieces of terrain, you just die because they've held back. You can't come forward. But the idea is you make it you make null zones in the board where if they were to come into it to try and hold the mid board, you punish the absolute hell out of them. And that's why things like Repentia slinging from the backfield. A lot of people can do it with Vanguard vets or whatever freaking white scars you want. Drakari do this really, really, really well. Sisters do it well as well. I'm assuming Orcs are going to do the same. I'm hoping in my heart of hearts that Orcs are the problem solver because they're going to be that toughness 5. So, but I just think the AdMech has too many shots. I still think they have way too many shots.
A lot of shots.
That it's just not going to matter that they're toughness 5. And I'm really worried about how much a toughness 5 Orc boy is actually going to cost in this book.
Probably more than a Vanguard or a Skitari.
I know.
Less abilities, less auras, and less strategy.
I can already see that's what's going to happen. They're going to be like 9 or 10 points per boy, and everyone's just going to be like, "Oh my god, why?"
Well, we'll see. We'll see what that upcoming codex has to offer. But let's talk about Mr. Lawrence Baker. This is we know who is an absolute skilled player bringing Jukari to this. Adam, run down what's in his list.
Yeah, so Lawrence, he has won one of these before. He's won an SN Battles GT before. He's a gentleman who always gets an invite, I think, because he kind of encapsulates the mantra of that a lot of people want to aspire to. He's a great player, knowledgeable, entertaining guy, knows a hell of a lot more about the game than he appears, and he's always a danger, especially when he's on like the equal best or second best book in the game. I think it's the second best book. Some people think it's equal best. He has a triple patrol. The first one starts off, Cabal Blackheart starts off with Drazar, who is a warlord with Hatred Eternal. 1, 2, 3 units of Cabalites, each 5-mans with a blaster. 2 units of Incubi, each 5-mans as well. Then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Raiders with Dark Lancers. Then he has his second patrol. This one is also Cabal the Blackheart. He has a Super Archon, Splinter Genius, Jin Blade, as you'd expect, Tolerated Ambition. He has a unit of Trueborn, only 2 blasters on it, not the Dark Lance in addition, which I usually see. Maybe that got cut when he decided to add in 3 more Raiders to this, but past that he also has 2 more of those units of Cabalites. I think he's decided to distribute his anti-tank more than just have 1 super anti-tank unit, and then he's got a 3rd unit of Incubi in addition. So rounding that out, that's already 8 Raiders. And then lastly, he has a Cult of Strife detachment. This is his 3rd patrol. Super Succubus, as you'd expect. The Triptych Whip, Tolerated Ambition as well, with Show Stealer. A unit of Blood Brides, with the stratagem for the upgraded Hecatrix in that unit, and then 2 units of Witches with nothing on them. So that's 3 units of Witches, one of them being a unit of Blood Brides, a Super Succubus, a Drazar, a Super Archon, a bunch of like pinch-hitting 5-man Cabalites, and then 8 freaking Raiders. I'm a fan of this list. I think this list is deceptively amazing. But what do you guys think? Oh, sorry, a 3 units of Incubi in addition.
Oh, just 3 units of Incubi hanging out.
Just
It's an absolute blender. I like it how the special character style of plays, you can kind of sprinkle him in there. And Drazar, I mean, is an absolute freight train with what do they roll in with 7 attacks, re-rolling hits and re-rolling wounds through the Warlord trait, with a D2 weapon.
Fights twice. Yeah, he's a monster. Absolute monster.
Yeah, what you connect him with will be removed off the table.
Someone just corrected me. Apparently, there's 9 Raiders.
Oh.
5. No, I've only got 8. I've only got 8 listed in this. Maybe there's one that I got cut off in translation. But yeah, it's a crazy list. It's got so, and the thing is, like, every single one of those raiders has like if a raider just has 5 cabs with a blaster and 1 raider, that can kill a rhino. Those 2 shots can kill a rhino. That's the little nuances he's playing with every single interaction he's got. And all the min-max Cabalites, it's been a hallmark of him for like 3 editions. But the new Black Heart changes where they all get a reroll to hit, and he's min-maxed them to the absolute bejesus. They're going to be really good in this.
Yeah.
Allan, what are your thoughts?
I think it's really, really solid army. Very, very good army. If played really well, you can skin out a win with this, even against AdMech in some situations. I want to go back though. Some people say that it's an equal tier codex. Yeah, those people are wrong. So like even before the Dark Eldar nerf, the current AdMech is still even more broken than that. So I think make sure that's super clear. But yeah, I think this played really well. It has everything you need. Like Paul was talking about earlier, what can we do other than emailing our state representative of GW? You could play a KG game. You can try to hide. Take as many points on your side of the board as you can. Take secondaries that don't require you to go on your opponent's side. I know how hard that sounds, but that's kind of what you need to do. What you can keep out of line of sight, you can keep alive. And if you can try to trade up, you can potentially squeak out a win. He has enough min-max units to be really cagey with those OBSEC units, get him in the right spot, take away an objective, one turn, and you never know. It could flip. It's possible.
I think it's about the delivery of the incubi and the special characters. You've got to figure out how to get them right where you want them to be able to make an impact. If they die outside of close combat, then you are the game is sunk for you. You have to position them and deliver.
He doesn't lose too much though, Paul, because they're so small. Yeah. All the units are so tiny. So even if you lose
what do you care?
Unit,
no, I mean if your top performers die before they get to do what you need them to do, then you have a much harder game. You have to get those. It's about, I think, delivery of the incubi and the characters.
He's mitigated that a little bit by having the incubi units small and the witches are small, except for one unit, the one he's upgrading. You know, his big witch unit and his characters are really kind of the biggest return. But he's got a lot of little units that he can do, like you said, kind of targeted damage. That's exactly what he's going to want to do: targeted damage and be in the right spot.
A question for you, gents. The fallback and shoot for Admech, is that an aura or is that a pick one?
I think it's a pick one.
It's a pick one. I believe it's a stratagem. Yeah,
So Manny's got 7 units of 20 guys. Turn 2, every single one of his 7 blocks of 20 can be charged by a raider. Every single one. And just think about that. That's how I conceptualize this happening. Every single one just gets tapped by a freaking raider, and so he goes from being able to wipe you in the turn to having turns 2 and turn 3 probably having a null. Yeah. And that's got to be the game plan. If that isn't the game plan, that's everything else is you kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, in order to accomplish that, you probably have to lobotomize him before he deploys his army.
Yes.
You know, and then if he has like half a brain, maybe he would make that mistake to allow that to happen. Yeah.
Well, so for those at home, I don't want to tell you how to stop that, but it's called the Eric Lathure's patented T formation. When he was playing 260 gaunts, he would make one T out of his gaunts, and then he'd have 2 pockets. He'd have pockets of 30 mans on either side of the T, and then you could only ever engage one unit at a time. And it was just, no one knew how to do it. It was like, I played an aggressive army, cool, I get to pick up 1 unit of 30 out of his 5 units of 30, 6 units of 30. It was always freaking yuck as hell. So yeah,
I learned that move in 5th grade too, when I was deploying.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But, it's just who knows who's listening, Alan? It could be people listening for their first time. They need to know these things.
Skitarii Warlord trait, programmed retreat in your command phase. Select one friendly Forge World Skitarii core unit within 9 inches of the Warlord, or select one friendly Forge World core data tether unit on the battlefield. Until the start of your next command phase, this unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back.
Tap them all. Tap them all every turn.
That's your T unit. That's your T unit. That's your
T. That's the T.
As Adam has mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go a hard T. You can kind of go a soft T.
You can do a hockey puck. You can do a hockey stick as well, or a nice J. Yeah, a nice J.
I mean, if you have a really big unit, you can go for a W if you want.
Yeah,
I don't recommend
or K. I've seen X's and K's as well.
You could do a K. I like K a lot. Yeah, that's like triangular pockets. If you go with
yeah. And all the characters get in the bottom of the K.
But a K might make me kind of hungry. It'll kind of look like a pie.
Yeah, it does.
And slices. Yeah. And I'll leave the game like, man, I need to get something to eat.
Yeah, exactly right. You're like, you just.
Or watch one of Paul Murphy's eat a donut challenges. You know, I don't know.
More donuts coming. You got to tune into Facebook for that one.
So, gents, wrapping up our chat about Gibraltar, where do we think that event's going? Look, I saw Manny's list, and I'm like, I'll be surprised if this guy drops 20 points for the event, and and in my mind, he's going to win.
What I like about this, tell me I'm wrong. I think it's going to be it's definitely going to be an easier path, I think, for those AdMech players with the skewed list because of the other things in there. There aren't, in my opinion, too many things that are going to be able to stop that. It's going to take a little bit of luck or hoping that one of them knock each other out earlier in the rounds, and so that gives a little bit more play or wiggle room in the top spots. But just as we said, the right player making the right moves, you put the brakes on one of those other lists. I mean, that's kind of the ecosystem of what it takes. Sometimes, there's always a bigger fish, but there's also the right situation. So the situation can occur with die rolling, with maneuvering, with the fact that we play a game where the unlikely happens frequently. That's one of the interesting things about this. At least we remember anyway, because we remember the dice rolls that go one super one way or the other. But I think that this is going to be a path. It's the AdMechs to lose right now, but there are things there that can help put the brakes on it. That's my opinion.
Beautiful. I'm very well said, man.
I think it's a certainty that Manny wins. So maybe 12 points off because he takes like the new Scramblers thing, and that's pretty much it.
Legit. If there was odds for this, if there was like running betting odds for this, you couldn't put any money on Manny and actually make any money. Like
it's not possible. You'd have to put like
possible.
$2,000 to win $100 maybe. I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe more than that. So,
all right, we're going to jump down to our next event. You want to tell us about that,
one
Paul?
second before we go there, I cannot wait to see the pictures from this event. So I want to see the follow-up. I want to see the documentation. I want to see what is happening for this event.
I want to see my
invite
to the invitational version of this event. I want to see that, like when they mail it to me, because they supposedly mail you like this really nice box.
It's nice,
They're like, hey, you're actually important. And I was like, man, I just want to be validated.
They put on a great show. It is always nice to see the documentation of this. And I'm going to be looking for it this time too. What do we got next? I think we have the Chaos. What is it? The
Chaos Storm GT, 50-player GT 5-rounder in Indianapolis, Indiana. Don't know much about Indiana. I hear it's nice, but don't quote me on that.
Indianapolis is a cool city. That's where Gen Con is. And it's actually a really cool city. Seems to have a nice little culture about it. I enjoy walking around there for the convention, for Gen Con, and I'll be going to Gen Con this year as well. Looking forward to that. Indianapolis is a cool town. Lots of cool places to eat and nice places to hang out.
Indianapolis is pretty sweet. There's actually a bar you'd like a lot, Adam. There's a bar with a wall that's like painted with chalk. It has similar curtains as yours. And they have a list of like 250 different types of Long Island iced teas by the mason jar. So you just get like a perfect jar of like a Long Island iced tea. It's pretty awesome. I do like
just to show everyone that
do like
if you are listening to this, you're missing out on the grandeur that is my curtains. I'm gonna drape this one over myself like a toga for the rest of this stream.
Are there some koala bears in there?
I have no idea what is on this. It looks Oriental to me. I think it's Oriental.
And next week on Monday, it's like, how did I get hepatitis? I don't know.
Goodness.
Look, when you're in victim protection, you just take what you get. All right, you can't demand the nice drapes.
The Chaos Storm GT is a 50-player GT, and this is some interesting list here, or at least an interesting makeup of list. Only 1 Drukhari, 2 Admech, 8 Necrons. 3 Sisters, 3 Dark Angels, 4 Death Guard, 2 Custodes, 2 Orcs, 11 Marines, then 2 Tau.
This tournament is stuck in April of 2021.
Good for them. It was nicer there. I wish we could go back.
Hey guys, you're playing a good edition of 40K. Keep it up.
Exactly right. You guys are doing the right thing.
I feel like everyone in this tournament should come together before the game starts. And I didn't read whose Admech list are we talking about? Oh, is that That's Sarapata's list, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So everyone come together and just vote Sarapata out of the tournament. Just be like, hey guys, we're all making an agreement here. No Admech players allowed. It's like in The Simpsons where they make a club of no Barts. No Barts allowed. No homers allowed.
They'll have to have one. So this is such a good spread. I love this spread at this event. I mean, eight Necrons. No one's going to be unhappy having to play like 2 Necron players in 5 rounds, whatnot. 3 Sisters, 2 Admech, 1 Drukhari. Like there's going to be some smiles at the end of this thing.
I want to say, if you're watching live, we're going to go a little bit over time since we started late. We're in about what is it? 12 minutes or so. We'll do our Fuego Rapido segment, and then we'll wrap it up. So if you're watching live, and thanks for hanging in there, thanks for being patient while we were a little bit late. And if you're listening later, this may make no sense to you. So we started a little bit late today. Sorry, I just want to jump in and let people know in case they were watching the clocks like we do.
Yeah, no problems. There is one Admech list. Do we want to talk about it, gents? Do we want to dodge it?
Yeah, you can talk about Sarapata.
I mean, it's just not dodging it, but how many times can you say that a Ranger's cool? The Rangers are cool.
Yeah.
It's a little different. It's a little different.
It is. I'll smash it down. This is Micah Sarapata. He's taking Mars Patrol first up. He's got a Marshal. He's got a Manipulus. He's got a unit of 15 Rangers. There's a bit of a theme for him because he's got another unit of 15 Rangers. Then he has a 5-man, 2 units of 3 Ballistari. They're very interesting here. 2 of it in each 3 have autocannons and only 1 las cannon in those ones. Then he has 2 Stratoraptors for flies. Then he has a Lucius Patrol. This one has a Calidus Assassin, which is interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit. Then he has a Marshal, another unit of 15 Vanguard, a unit of 13 Vanguard, a unit of 5 Infiltrators, and 2 units of 3 Service Raiders, and then 2 Fuller Saves. So he's got 4 flyers.
What do you think about that Calidus, Adam?
I think it's actually a very good pick. I think it's spot on. I actually really like it's in there. What do you think, mate?
Why do you think he took it though? Is my question.
I think he took it for the other 3 armies he's thinking about playing. I think he's taking it for Sisters, Drakari, and the Mirror. And it's not only does it bottom out the other front loading AdMech players who AdMech always want to front load their CP. Turns 1, 2, 3, they're gonna drop 80% of their CP all the time.
That's exactly what I think too. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, and then it's also a pinch hitting little sniper assassin. You can hunt that guy down. There's a lot of 4 wound characters you can go after. That Callus is not bad at killing. You can try and reach for the stars and go for a 5 wound manipulus if you want. Otherwise, just hunt down some dudes, kill people's marshals. Really good.
You can also appear really close to folks, and so being able to potentially lock another unit down if you're in case you're playing in a mirror or whatever. The Calidus assassin, I'm actually the assassins in general, especially the ones that can forward deploy and cause a disruption. I think the Vindicator is still maybe for the shelf at the moment, but the other assassins with their ability to kind of get up there and mix it up and cause a lot of disruption, I'm surprised they're not in more Imperialist at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise that the Collectors would drop off. The Psychic armies don't have books yet. There's no surprise there. But I actually don't mind an Eversaw here or there. I don't actually. I'm not crazy about him. But if you had one in your list, I wouldn't think you're a moron. But I do think the Calidus is in its prime right now. What do you think, Allan?
No, I felt the exact same way. Make them pay for it.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting. I like it in there. I also like that he's still taking the Raiders. The Horsies I've been seeing getting dropped more and more from AdMech lists that I've been reading. I kind of still think they have a useful. They still are useful. I mean, they lost a lot of what they were before, but they're still very good. They were broken before, so I think they're much.
Actually, I was chatting to some of the other war guys, and they sold me on big units on 9-mans. And I actually think a 9-man is a scary, scary thing when it's scouting up, going straight into your face. Well, this is the thing. I think they're getting dropped because.
So the 9 have the math to actually flip some of these characters over, whereas a 3 and a 5 don't. You struggle. You've got to get up there. You hope that they misdeployed or whatever, and maybe get a charge or something. But the 9, you start sufficiently threatening 4 and 5 wound characters.
Exactly right. So the reason people are dropping them, I think, to Alan's point, maybe he's on the same wavelength as me. In ages gone by, and literally just about every iteration apart from this one, AdMech was a defensive army and needed a defensive screen in front of their army. Now they're an aggressive army. They're aggressive, baby. They don't need the defense. They want you to come at them because they're going to hit you as hard as you hit them, and then they're going to shoot you when they fall back and shoot. And so there's no reason for the Cerberus Raiders to be there unless they're another alpha damage dealing unit, which is why I quite like the bigger squads.
I kind of like them in the mirror too.
I love them in the mirror, man. Put them in front of their other people's put them in and make them play defense for you and block off on one screen for their rust stalkers, their infiltrators can't get in. Then your ones get to go into theirs, etc., etc. Really nice interplay.
But lucky for Sarapata, he is the token AdMech player at the event, so there is no one else.
KR Quinn says they're thinking about adding a Calidus to the Custodes army. Is that a good choice? I think that is. I think it gives some mobility and stuff while they're trying to basically board control and block things out. You get a little something.
I've played Custodes a bit as usually I play them with guard, but you always end up with this wonky amount of points left, and then you just chuck up all these stupid Misericordias. Drop all your Misericordias and one Custody guard with a sword and shield, and you just get a Calidus assassin.
That's so true.
You just get the dude for free. It's not like you're giving up much. Who cares?
That's a great point. That's an excellent point. And any time that you start making your opponent make decisions and giving them what is potentially failure points or things that you can capitalize on, and something that makes them decide how they deploy is amazing. It's mega, and an assassin can do that. Yeah. If your army is otherwise missing that. In the same way.
Interesting though, also, I was going to say, to just finish that thought though, Paul, in the same way.
Oh, no, saying the same way that the Cerberus Raiders can, is that when you have that 5, 6, 7 squad there that can go up there and potentially pick off a 4 or 5 wound character, you make them maybe shrouded. Anytime, if you get a character moved out of position that has an aura, that means that part of the table is not being covered by their aura. And that may throw off their gameplay. So you want things to cause that in a list.
I think the advice you should take from here, if you're listening, is don't deploy your characters anywhere where they can be caught at all. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. See, when they can ignore the character rule, though, it makes it a lot harder to hide them.
And they actually add something. We've got 2 more lists to talk about. And we are a little bit under the pump now. But I pulled up. I just pulled up a random Necrons list and a random Tau list from this event because I wanted to see what they're doing, where they're at. And it's good for us to do on this show. We just want to check in with some of these factions that people think are languishing, not where they need to be. First one to talk about is a Necron list. This is Rick Peterson. I just pulled it up at random. He's a Dynasty Choice, his Circumstances of Awakening, Relentlessly Expansionist, of course, Eternal Conquerors, all that goodness. Single battalion list, 2 units of 2 Crypto Thralls, which means 2 Chronomancers with the Tropic Lances. He has an Overlord with the Veil of Darkness, 1, 2, 3 units of Immortals. Love to see the Immortals now over the Warriors. I think the Warriors need some decent changes in the meta to come back into vogue. 2 of them with Gore Palaces, 1 with the Teslas. Unit 10 Sword and Board Lichguard, 2 units of 5 Scorpec Destroyers. Actually, there might be six mans. I'm not sure about the breakdown. 2 units of 5 Canoptic Race and 2 units of 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers with the Gorse Destructors. Allan, we talked about, I think a good mate of ours took this kind of list, this Destroyer Heavy list, this Canoptic Heavy list to a couple of events. And now we're seeing those two put together, the Canoptic and the Destroyer Cults chucked together to try and make something really, really spicy. What do you think of this list, mate?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Canoptic part, so I don't like Wraiths that much. They need a lot to hit. They miss a lot of their attacks. I think they lost a lot from the glory days of Wraith spam when you just saw them all with 3+ invulnerables and they tar pitted everything. So I think they lost a lot. I'm not a big fan of those guys. Lichguard, I'm also not a huge fan of. I would personally like to see more destroyers in the list, similar to Ben Cromwell's army that we reviewed a few weeks back at the Boise.
For the volume of shots, or you mean the close combat ones?
Both.
Okay.
I like the fast attack destroyers, the Slinky model. That looks, I don't know exactly what the destroyer name is, but the
Ophidian destroyers, something like that, I think is what they are.
Yeah, that's what it is. There you go. The spine guys. Those guys, pretty cool. They got a cool strat. They can go in reserves for free. You can get them a charge and an 8. Those guys are really good. I think the other destroyers are really good too. The other close combat ones, the shooty ones, the heavy ones. I think there's a mix in there. I think something more like Ben's list. If you're going to go the destroyer route, I would kind of lean into it a little bit. I think this list is trying to do a little too much. It's trying to play all aspects of the game a little bit with Necrons. I just don't think they do that well right now.
Does the toughness 5 on the Immortals, do you think that gives them a choice? Like you mentioned, these being maybe a better option than more warriors.
We're just taking min units.
I was going to point out everything in this army is T5. Everything in this entire freaking army, apart from apart from the Cryptex, is T5, and he's trying to leverage that against things like all the strength 4 shots, the strength 3 shots you're getting from a lot of different myriad places right now. He's trying to leverage the toughness 5. I think he's doing it in a decent way, but like you said, I think he can squeeze some more out of it. I'm only a fan of 1 unit of race. If I see race, I see 2 mans. I usually only 2 units of 5. I'm like the second unit isn't going to do much. 1 unit's fine because you just slap it in, tie people up, don't expect it to kill much, and just be annoying. As a frustration piece, I don't mind it, but I feel like it needs more shooting. As it is right now, he's got 3 units of models, 2 units of Locust Heavy Destroyers. Where's the like the issues with target saturation?
Diffusion,
It's just like, cool. I just kill the destroyers, right? I just kill the destroyers. Turn 1.
Target priority is easy.
And screen. Exactly. I just kill the destroyers and screen, and then all my tanks live the entire game.
I feel like Necrons have to commit to a strategy. So if you're playing Wraiths, bring the Scarabs, bring the Spiders, bring the
bring it all.
Bring the Cetan, bring stuff that's like throw it at your opponent. Full expansionists and go. And like, oh my God, all this stuff's coming at me. And see if you can win the game that way. Putting OBSEC units on stuff, that seems like a maybe play. Or you play a more cagey list that's sitting back and shooting at long range and trying to do the damage output similar to Cromwell's list we reviewed before. I think you kind of have to go one or the other. Trying to play both. Yeah. Leaves gaps in the army.
What characters were in the list? What kind of support is he getting out of the HQ slot here?
Chronomancers and an Overlord.
Yeah, so it's really weird that the Chrono Tendrils, I'm not actually sure what they do because he hasn't taken the Chronomancers. They give the 5+ invuln save, which I'm assuming has been going on the Scorpec Destroyers. Yeah, they're action monkeys. They're going to be putting up banners and they're going to give 5 up invulns to the Scorpec Destroyers. It's pretty much
the Chrono Tendrils just make 3 attacks for everyone. So
yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, literally they're action monkeys and they're there to bring the Crypto Thralls, which are better action monkeys, essentially. So they're doubling down. Yeah. Look, I don't mind this list. I feel like it could be more refined, but this is better than I thought I was going to. When I started clicking
on a random pull?
I did a random pull. I thought I was going to get like 60 Necron Warriors in like an expansions build. I'm like, that ship has sailed. Not only has it sailed, it's been bombed from the other side of the world, and it's well and truly on the bottom of the ocean. Do not pull that out thinking you're gonna have a good time right now. Take 20 if you want and stick him at the back, play defensively, veil him up if you need to. Any more than that, overinvestment in my mind.
Nurgle Matthew Nurgle, Stuart Reed, thanks for checking in. Appreciate the comments in the chat. We really love seeing this stuff. We're checking this out while we're going down these lists. You said you had another one, Adam?
Yeah, one more. This is I pulled up. I did the same thing. I just plucked a Tau build. I just plucked a Tau list out. This gentleman's name is Namon Allan. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's got a battalion detachment, single battalion. Again, we're starting to see this more and more. These lists that start getting weaker in the meta start coalescing to try and leverage their CP more and more and have more of them at the start. This has got Farsight enclaves, as you'd probably expect right now. He's got an Enforcer battlesuit through Unity Devastation, advanced targeting, 3 Cyclonic Blasters, who's the Warlord with 2 shield drones in addition. Then he has Commander Farsight, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of breaches. Each one, two of them carrying their own shield drones as well. A single Riptide with the counterfire defense system and the Super Ion, of course. 1 small unit of Crisis Bodyguards that have been upgraded to the Veteran Cadre. I believe this is a 5 or a 6 man. It's hard to tell with some of the breakdowns in Battlescribe, but I'm seeing this as I'm seeing it as a 4-man, to be honest. These all have 2 Cyclonic Ions each and advanced targeting. So this is actually a damage dealing. This is a face puncher, and they do quite a bit. Then this is where it gets a bit spicy. 3 Ghost Kills, each one with first one having 2 Fusion Blasters, counterfire defense system, Fusion Collider, and Fusion Obliterators with 2 stealth drones, of course, and a shield generator for the invulnerable save. The other 2 also have shield generators, but they have cyclic ions and 2 flamers. And then he has 2 Tetra Scout Speeders and 2 Remoras to round it out. I'm going to go on a limb. I like this list. I like this build. I'm not sure if Ghost Kills are great right now, but I like how it's pushing things in a certain direction.
It's a volume of fire. It's like when you're throwing a lot of lead down. And I also like the pairs. There's multiple things in there. There's different stuff to where if you lose one, your strategy's not busted. You got a backup for almost everything in the list, which is very similar to what we saw how Richard Seeker played and built his list in a couple of months ago with that.
Exactly right. I was about to say I expected to see like 1 Devilfish at the end, and I didn't see it, and I thought that was interesting. I think this might be a little bit behind the meta because I look at this and I see a Drakari hunting army. Is that what you see as well, Allan?
Yeah, the Ghost Kills are pushing up. They're hunting Drakari for sure.
I'm going to challenge that a slight bit. Is that this Tau army is not behind the meta? I think it's ahead of the meta, trying to come back around.
For this event, when there's like 1, 2 AdMech players, this thing is spicy as hell. I actually really like this. But sorry, Allan, keep going.
No, I mean it's Tau. You know, we kind of know what we're expecting to see. Tau needs some serious modifications, but is he doing the best he can with the book he has? Yeah, I think he's doing a pretty good army, right? I mean, he's pushing out. He has units that are deploying outside of his deployment zone. The list can play secondaries pretty well. How long it stays on the table, how much it actually survives, and how much damage it does, that's all subject to, I guess what he's playing against and how the terrain looks. But I mean, he is doing the best he can with the codex he has. I think it's pretty interesting army. So,
yeah, I agree.
Artemis. Thanks for those words of encouragement. And let me remind folks what we're talking about here. This Chaos Storm GT, 50 players, 1 Drakari, 2 AdMech, 8 Necrons, 3 Sisters, 3 Dark Angels, 4 Death Guard, 2 Custodes, 2 Orcs, and 11 various Marines, and 2 Tau. I mean, this is a diverse field. I think it's anyone's game. With the list we've read, and this is just cold opinion here, I'm going to say Sisters take it down.
Sisters, really?
Nice. Yeah.
So I think they have a little bit of everything. They can match. They can hold up to anything represented here in the field. Now that we have not read over their list, but I think that codex has the tools to handle it, to excel in this type of diverse field.
Look, I can't disagree. I think Sisters are really well placed, especially with AdMech not being super prevalent to go the distance. They have a great game into Drakari. They play stupidly well into a lot of Marines as well, and there's like 11 Marine players here. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I'm going to go on a limb though, and I'm going to say a Necron player hits a podium at this event. That's my big call.
Allan, is this are you going to call Death Guard here finally?
I actually think there's I have a little bit of an unfair advantage in this event. I know some people at this tournament. We didn't cover their lists, but I think there's some local people, Gary Frank, Aaron Towler, Justin Curtis, all in attendance, Tyler Sansone, Daniel Sansone, a lot of guys that I know from the Chicago/Indy area are going. I would be really impressed to know if anyone has as many games as Towler with his current list. So I think Dark Angel. I think maybe Aaron Towler takes this one with Dark Angel.
Nice. Good call. Good call.
I think the lack of AdMech gives him a chance. The lack of Dark Eldar gives him a real chance. And I don't think he loses to Necrons. I don't think he loses to any of the other lists, really. I really think his Dark Angels list is really solid.
Dark Angels into Necrons, which is the most prevalent faction at this event, and Dark Angels into the Mirror, into other Space Marines, they do phenomenally well in both those counts. So I reckon that's a really good call.
And he's got a really nice mix of a list. I know we didn't cover it, but he's got the Terminators, he's got Plasma Interceptors, he's got Grav, he's got a little bit of everything with Azrael, with the Bubble, a bunch of speeders. He's got a little bit of everything. He could play the secondaries real well. So I think it's.
I want to get my chalk.
Oh, with the names you just read out. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I want to get my chalkboard out because he mentioned Grav again. I'm like, he got Grav into the show. Grav. Bang.
Well, what I was going to say with those lists that the names of the folks you just read out, this event is going to be a slobber knocker. And while it may be this kind of alternate dimension subset of lists that we're seeing, I think it's going to be stiff competition. I cannot wait to hear how this turns out, and hopefully you hear about how it turns out on Monday when we in the recap, and the shows are coming up on the Frontline Gaming Network. So tune in to those shows if you don't already.
That amazing Stats Center show that I've been watching the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
it's been
man.
Great.
How
great.
Those
only
shows
it's only fans though. It's only fans, guys, and people working for Frontline. So but it'll get to the public soon. Like everything that's good, it will get ruined by the mass public.
Look, when you're polishing diamonds, you only want to pack the diamonds in with the other diamonds. You don't want to put them in with the gold, with the silver, the platinum. Diamonds stick with diamonds.
So, and we're polishing our diamonds in the cables that bring Adam his internet. That's why we were late today.
Bang bang bang! Yeah, the three wallabies turning the millstone in Canberra that powers all our internets. Yeah.
I love
apologies for the grainy trash, by the way.
The shout out to Blood Angels in the chat. Everything's cyclical. The Blood Angels, we will see them again. We know it, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on to our next segment. Let production cue it up there in the background.
What is it?
Fuego Rapido. Yeah.
Man, that's the best thing we do in every episode.
That's it. You can leave now.
Yeah, that's it. We can pack up. That's it.
We don't have anything else.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Started.
Oh, I've lost it. Hang on. All right, we're getting everything going. Please hang with us. So here we go. Once the timer starts, we'll start the first topic, and we'll lead off with you, Allan.
I don't. Yeah, read the topic.
Should there be a hard dice down? Oh, that's not. That was just the dice.
No, there should not be hard dice down.
Well, that's fine.
Finish your games, you silly fools. Stop not finishing games.
I think there should be a hard dice down. I think at some point, if you haven't finished, the TO should walk over, slap the dice out of your hand, and tell you to put whatever scores you've got on your paper. Don't update them. Too bad, so sad. I'm taking it, whatever it is, and putting it in myself. And then you just get what you get. As soon as that happens, people will finish their games.
There you go. I think that it needs to be consistent across the board. So whatever you do for one table absolutely has to be done to all tables. And so whatever your rule is, that it's consistent across the board. And look, we'll do this. That'll be the open mic topic that we have at the end. We'd set up a special grab bag free for all at the end, in case you're not watching on the screen. That's what the open mic is. I have now done this in reverse, and I don't know if production can flip it. Keep everybody guessing on this. So yeah, that's it. I really do think though that you can go with whatever policy you want when the round's over. But I think you just have to apply consistency to every single table, so everyone gets an equal shot.
Agreed.
There we go. So I guess let's go on to the next topic. Well, or actually, we could do with this topic.
All right, we're good to go.
All right, next one is, if you could remove one rule from 9th, what would it be? Adam, we'll start with you on this one.
I would like the rule that stops you from tailoring and buying relics and stuff at the start of the game to be gone. I don't like that you have to put all that on your list and it has to stick, and you're stuck with it. I loved when in 8th edition, when you could see what your opponent is taking, see what they're playing, and make some little minutia choices about how, and alter a little bit about how your army is going to play for that battle. I love that in 8th edition, and I don't like it so much in 9th edition.
Allan, what you got?
I unfortunately would agree with Adam 100%, but it's just because we're on the show. we're on a show, I'll pick number 2. Number 2 would be for me, I would remove any scoring mechanism that does not allow interaction. Anything you can score by doing something on your turn alone, remove it. Just change it completely. Have to be
So
a
that
whole
means
turn.
like scramblers, you have to be in their zone and then be there at the
Scramblers,
start of your next phase.
Yep, engage everything. Like nothing you can do in the game can be done without your opponent being able to stop it. Being able to see, it's like, oh, I see what you're doing. I'm going to try to stop you. Change the whole game that way. That would be really interesting.
With some of this stuff, I agree with Adam as well. Is that I liked being able to roll up to a list. I mean, I think psychic powers and stuff, even like, but at what point is it a loading screen? At what point are you slowing the game down? And I don't know what that answer is, but that I did like the ability to have some amount of flexibility to counter what would be to fight. Let's just not even say counter, to interact with what might be a hard counter list to mine or whatever I did. And my window for that wiggle room was incredibly small, but now that window and wiggle room is nil, and I would like to see a little bit more of that for the exact reasons that y'all both pointed out.
Yeah, at a minimum, when you spend strats, you should be able to decide those warlord traits or those relics when you're buying them from a strategic perspective. At a minimum,
maybe there's a middle ground in between where you have to list and you're locked into buying a certain amount at the start of the game. Like on your list, you're locked into paying 3 CP for extra warlord traits and relics, but you get to pick them when you get to the table. But yeah,
that's it. This is a great topic. So when is it too late to ask for a take back? Allan, we'll start with you on that one.
I mean, I'm pretty fine with takebacks for a pretty long period of time, as long as it's reasonable, as long as we can put the models where they were. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Like, it's hard for me to be like, well, if it was in the shooting phase and you didn't ask me until the following movement of bottom, like, is that too far? Well, in some games, yeah, if I moved a million things and we now no longer know if it would have been possible to do what you want to do for your takeback, then maybe not. But if it's easy, if it's like, oh yeah, he definitely was in range, you definitely could have done that instead of this, no problem, go ahead. Like, that's fine. As long as
Adam,
it's
what you think?
So I have 2 modes on this. It depends what, like, if I'm playing in a teams event and it's like an ATC or an ETC, generally my coach has got and our team's got certain agreed upon things, and that's usually 1 phase back. If you ask for a take back and it's 1 phase back, generally 100% of the time I'll give it, especially if it's a psychic phase. If you're halfway through the shooting phase and you want to go back and do something in psychic, 100% of the time I'll probably let you do it. Like, literally, I have no reason not to. Charge phase stuff and fight phase stuff is the same. If you forget to make a charge and we're at the end of the fight phase and a whole new charge should have happened and, like, it was obvious you were going to do it, I'll let you do it. No problems. If you forgot to shoot something and, like, a whole thing you forgot to shoot and it's the morale phase, maybe not. But generally, even if we were in the same turn, in your turn, like, if I'm playing a casual, if I'm just playing a pickup game or rock-up game, if we're in your turn, I'm going to pretty much give it to you. And if it's not absurdly, like, you're not asking way too much, I'll give it to you. If it's in my turn and you forgot to do something in your turn, most likely, no.
I think this is going to be a different answer for everybody because it has to do with sometimes the moment that you're in. But I think the cleanest and the most that prevents the feel bads is keep it within the phase. If it's all within the phase and you're not out of that phase, or at least you're not too deep into the, well, we're out of time in the other phase, then wherever we go. So who does number 2 work for?
Prune juice. Prune juice is what number 2 works for.
That's what number 2 works for.
What is this question?
I think it's Monster Power.
I chucked that in. I didn't think you were actually going to read it out. I just chucked it in for a meme.
I just read what's on the screen. I don't know if
Wait a minute. Paul just always reads the teleprompter?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It started out when
you need to put some stuff in there, dude.
When our clock goes to 0, it says dice down on it. And I read the dice down, and that's what got us the difference.
Oh my god. We are sorry. For anybody who thought we were going to have a consistent professional show thereafter, this is the moment it went to shit.
Literally Ron Burgundy.
Right. Yeah.
You're like the definition of Ron
Holy
Burgundy.
crap.
It's hilarious.
He is.
This is why I don't script things. Everything's off the cuff, and so I got words. I'm like, what are you sponsored by?
Dude, Paul, I'm locking us into something right now. If next LVO, you and I are able to stream in person together, we're dressing up as Ron Burgundy, and I'll dress up as another character from Anchorman. For the entire 3 days. That's what we're doing. And we'll get the freaking wigs, man. We'll do it.
I'm down. Let's make it a thing. Favorite Primarch and why? I'm leading off, and I'm going to use the rest of our time It's
Oh,
Sanguinius.
Jesus.
I'll tell you
Rocked
why.
out.
Because he's awesome. He's got gold armor. He's got wings. He's got look at his ensemble. His whole outfit. He's got the leopard print. He's got a spear and a sword. I mean, he flies for crying out loud.
Who did you say, Paul? I didn't hear you.
Sanguinius.
Oh, okay, all right.
Who was Paul gonna say? Did you have any doubts?
I mean, he was explaining someone cool, not a dead punk ass.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Sanguinius carries the weight of the entire Imperium on his shoulders. You know that when it showed up, it's like, oh, we need somebody who's going to be the next emperor. And Gilliam was like, could it be me, guys? Could I be the next? And they're like, Sanguinius showed up like, well, obviously this guy is going to be the next.
That's a really hard question, though. I don't even know who I would pick, to be honest. That's tough.
Well, that's good because I'm going to use the next minute and 10 seconds to talk about Sanguinius.
Keep it going, man.
No, I'm kidding. No, I will open it up. Allan, do you have an opinion on the best on your favorite Primarch? Not the best, your favorite, and why?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I like all of them. I really can't pick. I don't know, maybe Angron, just because I like World Eaters a lot. So I like his story of how he basically rose to power as a pseudo gladiator in his home world and like led a whole bunch of like dudes into like being a whole tribe of fighters.
He Spartacused the shit out of that.
He Spartacused the shit out of his home planet, and then the Emperor came and killed all of them. And he was like, "Hey, come and be my friend." And he's just like, "I will kill you one day."
I had friends. Yeah. Adam, what you think? What's your favorite Primarch?
It's hard. It's tough.
My favorite Primarch's the Lion. Hands down, because he has not a single F to give about anybody about whatever the hell he wants to do. I don't care who you are or what you are. I know what I am. I'm the Lion. You suck. I love it. He's literally, in my mind, he's the closest thing we have. What's the name of Bruce Willis in Die Hard? That's what I kid you.
John McClane. Yeah,
he's a good guy, but he's like charmingly unlikable, and I love it.
Okay, this is an interesting topic. Your biggest hobby fail. Adam, we'll go ahead and start with you on this. If there's something, this is tough.
Okay, so I went and bought when I was first back into the hobby. When I first back into 40k, sorry, and this was before I even got into fantasy. I played 40k when I came back about 7 years ago for about a year. Then went into fantasy, then into 40k when it died. And I bought 6 of those fine cast broadsides, and then I built them at a G-dub. I put them in my car, and then I went and bought some food from the supermarket. It was summer in Australia. I didn't know anything about fine cast. I came back and all 6 of them ruined, completely ruined, melted, all to near liquid state melted. It was freaking horrific. I nearly cried because I was a poor student. That was all the money I had in the world. I just spent on these like.
You should just returned them. Just walk back into the store. This is how they were. I don't know.
I just built them in the store like half an hour before, but yeah, it was tragic. I was like, oh my god.
Alan, do you have a story about some display that went horribly wrong, or some work that you've completely evaporated? Like what?
The Eldar ship, the Eldar ship, Adepticon 2015. We made a 11-foot Eldar ship, a yellow one. Paul, I think you remember it had a.
Oh yeah, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, and we had it on when I first built it. It was standing on 2 PVC pipes, one in the front, one in the back, to hold up the whole ship in the air. So it was suspended as it was like flying, Oh, after I painted it, the paint kind of made the foam close a little bit in the openings. So when we got to Adepticon, we tried to dry fit it again. The pipes wouldn't go in. So I couldn't get the damn ship to fly. We had to put it on a table, which sucked. It really made me mad because we had scenes underneath the ship too with magnets and stuff. It was terrible.
Crap.
Terrible.
Yeah. With just 13 seconds left, I think I just want to take a moment to pause and remember all the bits I've lost. Just all the bits that are probably under this table right now, and salute them. That's the end of this segment. I know we flipped the open mic, for a reason nobody knows how that happened. The reason's unknown. But rapido. We are at the end of the show. So with these 2 events, I think it's going to be really interesting to come back and see if we were right, if we were wrong. Next week, we will be back this Thursday and every Thursday to talk about tournaments coming up over the weekend, lists we've seen, players that we expect to see, how we expect them to do, and what's going to beat these things. We're going to talk about some of the Juggernauts, the Juggernaut list, and then what's going to take them down. And I hope it's been entertaining to y'all. And thanks for participating in the chat and leaving us comments, some 5-star reviews. Leave us 5-star reviews. That's like a completely like free way to interact with the show that really helps spread the message, and we really appreciate it.
Beautiful. Love your work, gentlemen.
Have a good night, everybody.
Out.